Hey there, curious minds. Welcome back to PsycKeys, where we unlock the mysteries of the human mind. Today, we're diving into 15 psychological facts that will absolutely blow your mind. These aren't just fun tidbits. They're keys to understanding yourself and the world around you in entirely new ways. Ready to have your perspective shifted? Let's dive in. The Dunning-Kruger Effect. Imagine you're at a karaoke night. The worst singer in the room is also the most confident, while the best singer is fretting about their performance. This, my friends, is the Dunning-Kruger Effect in action. It's a cognitive bias where people with limited knowledge or expertise in a specific area believe they're more competent than they actually are. The fascinating part? As people gain more knowledge, they often become more aware of how much they don't know. This leads to a curve where confidence initially rises quickly with a little knowledge, then drops as you realize the complexity of the subject, before rising again as true expertise is gained. This effect isn't just about singing or academic knowledge. It influences everything from political opinions to how we view our own skills at work. So next time you feel like an absolute expert in a new field, pause and ask yourself, am I really knowledgeable? Or am I experiencing the Dunning-Kruger effect? This self-awareness can be a powerful tool for personal growth and more effective learning. The Bystander Effect. Here's a chilling fact. The more people present during an emergency, the less likely it is that any one person will help. This is called the Bystander Effect. In a crowded situation, we often assume someone else will take action, leading to a diffusion of responsibility. The next time you're in a public place and see someone who might need help, remember this fact. By taking the initiative, you could break the cycle of inaction. A simple, "Are you okay?" or "Does anyone know first aid?" can be enough to break the spell and spur others into action too. The Baader-Meinhof Phenomenon. Have you ever learned a new word and then suddenly started hearing it everywhere? That's not a coincidence. It's the Baader-Meinhof Phenomenon, also known as frequency illusion. Your brain is now primed to notice something that was always there but previously ignored. This effect can apply to anything, from car models to clothing styles. It's a reminder of how much our perception shapes our reality. What have you recently started noticing more frequently? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear about your Baader-Meinhof experiences. The Placebo Effect. Did you know that your mind can trick your body into healing itself? That's the power of the placebo effect, and it's more powerful than you might think. In some studies, patients given sugar pills experienced real pain relief simply because they believed they were taking medication. But here's where it gets really interesting. The placebo effect can work even when people know they're taking a placebo. This suggests that the mere act of engaging in a healing ritual can have physiological effects. The implications of this go far beyond medicine. It speaks to the power of belief and expectation in shaping our reality. How might you harness the power of positive belief in your own life? Could changing your expectations about your abilities or potential lead to real improvements? The placebo effect suggests that the power of mind over matter might be more than just a saying. The halo effect. We tend to think that good-looking people are also smart, kind, and successful. This is the halo effect, when one positive trait influences our overall impression of a person. It's not just about appearances. We often let one good quality overshadow potential flaws in other areas. This bias can significantly impact our judgments in daily life, from choosing products to evaluating job candidates. Next time you find yourself forming a quick opinion about someone or something, pause and ask yourself, am I seeing the whole picture, or am I being swayed by one particularly positive trait? The Ikea Effect. Ever wonder why that wobbly shelf you built yourself is your favorite piece of furniture? It's because of the Ikea effect. We tend to place a disproportionately high value on things we've created ourselves, regardless of their objective quality. This effect extends beyond furniture. It's why homemade gifts often mean more to us than store-bought ones. It's a powerful reminder of the satisfaction that comes from creating something with our own hands. What's something you've made that you're particularly proud of? The spotlight effect. Remember that embarrassing moment you can't stop thinking about? Chances are, nobody else remembers it. The spotlight effect is our tendency to overestimate how much others notice about us. In reality, people are usually too focused on their own lives to pay much attention to our slip-ups. How might your life change if you worried less about what others think? This fact isn't just comforting, it's liberating. It gives us permission to be a little bolder, a little more authentic, knowing that the spotlight we imagine isn't nearly as bright as we think. The anchoring bias. Have you ever noticed how the first price you see for an item tends to stick in your mind? That's anchoring bias at work. We tend to rely heavily on the first piece of information we receive when making decisions. Marketers use this all the time. That's why you see the original price crossed out next to the sale price. But it's not just about prices. In negotiations, the first number mentioned often serves as an anchor for the entire discussion. In dating, our first impression of someone can anchor our perception of them for a long time. Understanding this bias can be a powerful tool. In negotiations, try to be the first to put a number on the table. When making decisions, consciously seek out alternative reference points to avoid being overly influenced by the first piece of information you encounter. The mere exposure effect. Familiarity breeds liking. The mere exposure effect shows that we tend to develop a preference for things simply because we're familiar with them. This is why advertisers show you the same commercial over and over, and why that song you initially hated is now your jam. This effect can influence everything from our taste in music to our political views. It's a reminder to occasionally seek out new experiences and perspectives, to avoid getting stuck in an echo chamber of the familiar. The framing effect. Glass half full or half empty? It's not just a saying, it's a psychological principle. The framing effect shows that how information is presented or framed influences our decisions. For example, people are more likely to choose a medical treatment if told it has an 80% survival rate rather than a 20% mortality rate, even though these mean the same thing. This effect is powerful in marketing, politics, and personal communication. How could reframing situations in your life lead to different outcomes? Could describing a challenge as an opportunity change how you approach it? The framing effect reminds us that perception often shapes reality. The Pygmalion Effect. Did you know that others' expectations of you can actually influence your performance? This is the Pygmalion Effect. If a teacher believes a student is bright, they might unconsciously give them more attention and opportunities, leading to improved performance. The flip side? Low expectations can lead to poorer outcomes. This effect isn't limited to the classroom. It operates in workplaces, relationships, and even in how we treat ourselves. How might you use this knowledge to motivate yourself or others? Could setting high expectations while providing support help bring out the best in people around you? The sunk cost fallacy. Ever stayed in a bad movie just because you paid for the ticket? That's the sunk cost fallacy, our tendency to continue with something just because we've already invested time, money, or effort into it. This can lead to poor decision-making in all areas of life, from relationships to careers. The key is to focus on future costs and benefits, not past investments. What are you holding on to simply because you've already invested in it? Sometimes, the bravest decision is to cut our losses and move on. The Dunbar Number. Despite having hundreds of Facebook friends, Anthropologist Robin Dunbar suggests that humans can only maintain about 150 meaningful relationships. This is known as Dunbar's number. It's based on the size of our neocortex and the cognitive limits of our social groups. This doesn't mean we can only know 150 people, but rather that this is the number of people with whom we can maintain stable social relationships, knowing who they are and how they relate to others in the group. How does this align with your own social circle? Are you spreading yourself too thin, trying to maintain too many relationships? This concept invites us to think about the quality of our connections, not just the quantity. The peak end rule. When we recall an experience, we don't remember every moment equally. Instead, we tend to remember the most intense point, the peak, and the ending. This is the peak end rule. It's why a vacation with a fantastic final day might be remembered more fondly than one that was consistently good throughout. This principle has fascinating implications. It suggests that the way we structure experiences can dramatically affect how they're remembered. A challenging hike might be remembered fondly if it ends with a spectacular view. A mediocre meal could be saved by an amazing dessert. How might you use this knowledge to create more memorable experiences for yourself and others? Could you restructure your workday to end on a high note, or plan events with a clear peak moment and a strong ending? Understanding the peak end rule gives us a powerful tool for shaping memories. The Zeigarnik Effect. Ever had an unfinished task nagging at your mind? That's the Zeigarnik Effect, our tendency to remember uncompleted tasks better than completed ones. This is why cliffhangers in TV shows are so effective, and why breaking big tasks into smaller, completable chunks can be so satisfying. But here's where it gets really interesting. This effect can be a powerful motivational tool. Starting a task creates a sort of psychological tension that seeks resolution. This can drive us to complete tasks once we've begun. You can harness this effect by simply starting tasks you've been putting off. Even a small start can create the mental open loop that motivates you to finish. It's also why the just 5 minutes trick often works. Once you start, the Zeigarnik Effect helps keep you going. What unfinished task is occupying your mind right now? How might you use the Zeigarnik Effect to your advantage? Wow, what a journey through the fascinating world of psychology. We've explored 15 mind-blowing facts that reveal just how complex and intriguing the human mind is. From the Dunning-Kruger Effect showing us the dangers of overconfidence, to the Zeigarnik Effect explaining why unfinished tasks nag at us, each of these facts offers a unique insight into how we think, feel, and behave. Remember, understanding these psychological principles isn't just about accumulating interesting facts. It's about gaining tools to understand yourself and others better. Whether it's recognizing the bystander effect and choosing to take action, or using the peak end rule to create more memorable experiences, this knowledge has real-world applications. So here's your challenge. Pick one of these psychological facts and consciously apply it to your life this week. Maybe you'll reframe a situation to change your perspective, or perhaps you'll push through the sunk cost fallacy and make a change you've been putting off. Whatever you choose, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. If you found this video mind-blowing, and I hope you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell too, so you never miss out on our latest explorations into the fascinating world of psychology. Remember, understanding your mind is the first step to changing your world. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep growing.